Hi, my name is Christian Flotter, and today I'd like to talk to you about how to tell if your child may be experiencing some anxiety. So anxiety has been changing a lot in Australia over the last 10 years. The most recent data that I have looks at 2013 and 2014, and back then the rate of mental illness, the prevalence of mental illness was around 14% of children experiencing a mental illness, 6 to 7% of children experiencing anxiety. Now you fast forward that to today, and Monash Health has put out a report stating that mental health issues have doubled, near on doubled over the last year. So between 2019 and 2020, we've seen a doubling in the amount of children who are experiencing anxiety. Now the problem with anxiety is it changes face over time. In young children, I'm talking between 4 and 5, 6-year-olds, it's going to look different to the 16, 17, 18-year-olds. So how can I tell if my child is experiencing a degree of anxiety? Well, thankfully there are some behavioral indicators or some symptoms or signs that you can look out for that may suggest that they are experiencing some of this anxiety. Firstly, they may be crying very frequently. They may be becoming very sensitive. They get a lot of headaches and tummy pains, and it appears for no apparent reason. They become very restless, very fidgety. They become hyperactive or distracted. Now, when we've got these kind of things going on, this sensation of something that's always bugging us, we start to have difficulty with sleeping. Now, these symptoms, these signs tend to be congruent through all ages there. So we can see these ones in the younger children and the older children. But let's talk a little bit about the younger children first. When we look at younger children, we're looking at sensitivities. They become very sensitive to particular things. They start to worry about things that are coming into their future. They start to get worried about things like school drop-off, about being in a particular class, about doing a particular thing. And they start asking, what if? What if this? What if that? Now, don't get me wrong, asking what if can be very good for curiosity and making sure that the brain is developing. But there's a right way and a wrong way. What if this doesn't happen? What if this is going on? That may be an indication that we've got a bit of anxiety going on, which then leads into the I can't do it mentality. Now, this is a very closed mindset attitude. And when you've got a lot of anxiety, you become very withdrawn and closed off. Instead of the I can't do it yet, there's the I can't do it, which leads into a bit of a meltdown, and then we start to experience tantrums. So these are some of the things that we may see in younger children. But as we get older, things start to change a little bit more. We start to get cranky for no apparent reason. We get test anxiety, because that's something that happens as we get older. When we're in high school, 13, 14, 15-year-olds, we start getting a lot more serious with the tests. Now, if you do badly in a test, what does that lead? Oh, you start to feel really bad. So as a result, we start to get a fear of making mistakes, however trivial or however small. Now, if we don't like making mistakes, we don't like going to school. So we may start seeing refusal to going to school. And if we don't get our way, we can see explosive outbursts. Now, in some kids, we may recognize, or they may recognize, that things are not going so well, and they start to withdraw from a lot of activity. They start to keep away from being in social interactions. Instead of going out there and playing with their mates at lunchtime, they may find that quieter area of the playground and just sit by themselves and ignore everything that's going on around them. And because they don't like making mistakes, they may be constantly seeking approval for everything that they've done. So if these things are a little bit familiar to what's going on in your household, or if you're recognizing a child who may have some of these symptoms or signs, it may be worth getting them further assessed by a health professional. Have them talk to their school counselor, have a talk to a professional counselor. There are many options available, but it's very important, especially in this day and age, to recognize the indications of anxiety at an earlier stage. Because if we can address it early, then we may have better outcomes in their future. Thanks very much, and I look forward to seeing you again in the future.